Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let's take a look at using the Font Book app on your Mac. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So the Font Book app is built into your Mac, and it's a very simple app for installing and managing the fonts that you have. Today it's very easy not to think about fonts at all, and newer Mac users may not even know what they are. If you're in an app like Pages, you see the text here is using a specific font. If I go to the Format sidebar, I can see Font here, and you can see the font is currently Times New Roman, and this is what Times New Roman looks like. But if I changed it to something else, like say Futura, you could see Futura has different looking letters. This is a different font. There's a variety of different fonts, and you can easily see here in Pages all of the fonts that you have and choose one that you want to use for that particular text. So Font Book is the little utility that comes with your Mac that allows you to see all of these fonts, manage them, install them, and so on. So you can get to Font Book any of the ways you normally launch apps. For instance, you can go to Launchpad, search for it there. You can go to your Applications folder. You can use Spotlight. However you do it, when you launch Font Book, it looks like this. Now note that Font Book has been completely remade in macOS Ventura. So if you're using an earlier version of macOS, the functionality is basically the same. But Font Book is going to look a lot different. So here I've selected all fonts. So I see all of the fonts installed on the Mac, and I can see each one kind of as this little icon. Representing the font is simply two letters, usually a capital A and a lowercase a for most fonts. I could also switch to just My Fonts. The difference is My Fonts are the fonts that are installed just for this user account on your Mac, whereas All Fonts are the system fonts and the user fonts. So if I have two user accounts on this Mac, I may have different fonts installed for each one. Now in addition to using this icon view here, you can also switch to the sample view here. Click on that, and now you can see the fonts are shown horizontally with some sample text. You could change the sample text by just simply clicking on any individual one and changing whatever you want. So for instance, I might want to add some symbols here on the left. As soon as I click somewhere else, you can see how all of them update. So that's my new sample text. So you can edit the sample text anytime that you want. You could also go to this list mode here and see all of the fonts. Note that a lot of fonts have multiple variations. So for instance, you can choose a font like this, and you can see there are multiple different types. Now on any of these views you can go to View, and then you could show the info pane. And then you see a sample here on the right. So I could easily see these variations here, or choose another font, or I could switch say to this view and get all of the letters here. I could switch to this view and use the information sidebar here on the right to be able to see more. So if you're looking for a font to use in a project, you could use Font Book to do that. Of course, most apps will show you a preview of the font, like here in Pages, so you don't necessarily need to use Font Book. That's why a lot of people can go completely without using Font Book at all. Now the other thing you can do with Font Book is you can use it to install new fonts. So once you have a font, and I've got a folder here filled with fonts that I've purchased in the past, you can simply take any font that you want and drag it into Font Book. You could also just drag and drop to the application icon. You could also just double click in the Finder and it will open it up in Font Book. So when I do that, you'll see the step here that I need to complete in order to install it. It will show me a preview. It'll show me any variations, and I can click the Install button, and once I do, I can see it's now installed. Now whether it's installed just for this user or for all the users on this Mac, that depends on a setting in Font Book Settings, and then go to Installation, and you can choose if new fonts are installed for the current user only or all users. If you ever want to uninstall a font, you can select it and then choose Edit and Remove to remove that font. You also have the option of deactivating fonts. So if I have a font chosen, I can go to Edit and Deactivate. And what will happen is the font stays installed, so it's not removed from my Mac. It's just no longer going to show up in apps anymore. Now this can be handy if say you're a graphic designer and you have a ton of fonts installed and you find that some of your apps work slower because you have hundreds of different fonts. You can deactivate the ones you don't use very often and then usually select them again and activate them. The sidebar here has some functionality. You can create collections, and these are just ways to basically look at the different fonts you've got. So you can create a new collection here. You can name it whatever you want. You can put different fonts in it. So if you're looking for a font that's, say, fun or modern, you can go to Font Book and quickly find the ones that you've put in those collections. They're like albums and photos. The fonts aren't actually in here. They're all in all fonts. But you have a different way to organize and view them. You can also even create smart collections, which are kind of like smart folders in the Finder or smart albums in Photos. And you have the ability to filter here by active fonts and inactive fonts, for instance. And you also see here downloadable. What this means is that some of the fonts aren't actually on your Mac. A lot of fonts, particularly ones with languages that you're not using, are actually shown as available here, but you'll see the little download button there. If I were to actually switch languages in system settings and it needed a specific font, it would prompt you to download it. But I could download it just here in Font Book by clicking on the little download button. And one final thing you should know about, once you've installed a new font, it may not necessarily be immediately available in an app that you're using. More and more today, it actually is available as soon as you install it. But if for some reason you don't see it in the app you're using, simply quit the app and start it again, and then it should be there. Now it's important to note that a lot of Mac users, perhaps most Mac users, never need to use Font Book. It's good to know it's there, but your Mac already comes with a variety of different fonts and you may never need anything except those. But if you do work as a designer, then you may find that you want to add more fonts to your Mac to give you more options. Or perhaps if you work with designers, then you may find you want to install certain fonts that they give you in order to view the documents they provide. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.